Welcome to Stations of the Cross by First Congregational United Church of Christ in Portland, Oregon. Tonight we're featuring some quite contemporary icons that represent each of the ancient Stations of the Cross by artist Gregory Palestri, who graciously gave us permission to feature his art, both for people to experience on Good Friday in the gallery and also to experience online as a form of meditation. Tonight it will be as if we are walking in the gallery and experiencing each of these pieces with readings and reflections. We'll start with that black piece on the right and go clockwise around, taking a pause with music to be able to reflect on various aspects of Jesus's last moments. We invite you to simply take a deep breath in, let it out slowly, and so doing, clear away whatever obstacles you may have brought with you to experiencing the presence of the Holy Spirit in this time of contemplation and meditation.
Good Friday, we approach the Stations of the Cross differently this year. We come very conscious of death through COVID-19 and its impact on our world and on our own personal lives. We come with news blasting in our ears about mass shootings in massage parlors in Atlanta and in a grocery store in Boulder. And our memories hold still at the recollection of the death of George Floyd at the knee of a police officer and the death of an officer at the hands of a mob on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. Social issues swirl about us as related to these events and to more occurrences in our lives, conscious as we are in a world and our place in this world. The Stations of the Cross are before us to consider what happens in our minds in relationship to the story of the death, resurrection of Jesus as he moved toward death on the cross and to the resurrection. But we come very much aware that his teachings included the words, "Take up your cross." The art by Greg Palestri is not a detailed description of what happened in the story. Rather, each icon is reduced to geometric shapes suggestive of key aspects of the narrative of the story. Through minimum details, each icon allows you to focus more clearly on the maximum details of your own spiritual journey. You are invited to join us as we move through these 16 stations, reflecting on your own life, your memories, your attitudes and convictions. It also challenges you to consider what it means for you to make decisions, keep your balance, stand firm on social issues, issues of justice, and express your own love, especially as you take up your cross.
Prelude. We begin with the empty icon. The Hebrew story of creation begins with a dark empty. Earth was a soup of nothingness, a bottomless emptiness, an inky blackness. God's Spirit brooded like a bird above the watery abyss. The prophet Isaiah reminds us that God says, "I give you treasures of darkness. I form light and I create darkness."
Focus on the death, on darkness. Become aware of the vast emptiness out of which you were created, out of which all creation became. When you go to that point in your mind, how do you experience the dark emptiness? Open yourself to God, God's Spirit movement. Be aware of the wonder of becoming you.
First icon, scourging at the pillar. Jesus was interrogated by the Roman governor Pilate, before whom he gave witness to truth. Pilate asked Jesus, "What is truth?" There was deep silence, and then he proceeded to have Jesus scourged.
How do you know what is truth? How do you talk about truth today? Do you remember a time when you first began to understand what truth is? Why are truth and whipping or scourging brought together in this story? How is truth punished in today's world, in your life?
The second icon is taking up the cross. Jesus was condemned to death. They took Jesus, who took up his cross. They led him away to a place called Skull Hill, Golgotha. That is where they would crucify him.
Well, Jesus told his followers, "Take up your cross." Jesus did not invite others to take up his cross, but he did invite disciples to take up the cross that was their life call. Your cross is the life to which you are called to be in deep trust, hope, and love. How does your cross shape your life today? How does death make you conscious of how you could live your life?
The third icon, first fall. There is a traditional story that has Jesus falling as he carried his cross. In contrast, we have many stories of him standing and getting people to stand. Jesus stood still and called people together. Jesus said to the lame man, "Stand up and walk."
Have you watched children who are learning to walk? They're tentative, they fall, they get up, and they fall again. Do you remember your first steps? your first falls? You were learning to balance and to stand and to walk. How do you maintain a sense of balance in today's swirling world? Have you learned to take a stand in difficult situations? To stand for justice? To stand to do the right thing?
The fourth icon is Jesus meeting his mother. One story tells that when Mary saw Jesus burdened by such a large cross, she became dead with anguish and could not say a word to him, and he would not say a word either.
When did you become aware that your parents could not help you carry your cross? That you were on your own? How does that make you feel? The fifth icon is Simon helps Jesus carry the cross. Along the way to Golgotha, they came to a man from Cyrene named Simon, and he carried Jesus' cross from there to the place of the skull. Jesus said, "Take up your cross." But here's Simon helping him. How have other people helped you carry your cross? Did you ask for their help? Or did someone just outright offer to help you? Did you let them assist you? Or did you reject their offer?
The sixth icon, Veronica's veil. There is a story of Veronica offering a cloth for Jesus to wipe his face. He did, and the imprint of his face was left upon it. The cloth became a reminder of a holy encounter, and many visit the cloth and they tell the story in wonder.
Is there anything that you keep to remind you of a spiritual encounter? Do you keep anything close to you to help you remember spiritual values? Perhaps to remember beauty, or holiness, or wonder, or love? What do you do with such things in your life? Where do you put them? Where do you keep them? Do you ever show those to anybody else? Who?
The seventh icon refers to the traditional second fall. Such a fall reminds us of a statement by Jesus in his Beatitudes. You are blessed, empowered when you are at the end of your rope. With less of you, there is more of God's way with you.
After our infant learnings to balance and stand on our own, there are many second falls in our lives, some literal, some figurative. What literal falls have you experienced? Accidents, injuries, illnesses? What did you do to get up and get going again after that fall? What figurative falls have you had? Mistakes you've made, misjudgments, failures? Have you ever been at the end of your rope as you carried your cross? Did you recognize the presence of God in your life trying to recreate you?
The eighth icon, admonishing the women. Jesus spoke to crying women along the way to his crucifixion. Daughters of Jerusalem, don't cry for me. Cry for yourselves and for your children. For the days are surely coming when they will say, empowered are the barren, and the wombs that never bore, and the breasts that never nursed. Then they will begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills, cover us.
Is there a political situation in the world today that is overwhelming? Is there a social condition that makes you feel helpless? Is there an economic state that feels like the end of life is close? Is there an environmental reality that points to impending doom? How do you carry your cross, live your life, your call in this world today?
The ninth icon, a third fall. Jesus said, are you tired, worn out, burdened out on religion? Get away with me and you will recover your life. I will show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. The prophet Isaiah said, a people walked in darkness have seen a great light.
When you're worn out and you don't think you're able to get up, what do you do to stand and get going again? And where do you go and to whom do you look for help? What kind of trust is required at such a time in your life? How do you rekindle hope? How do you experience love, and with whom?
The 10th icon. They stripped him bare.
Has there ever been a situation in your life when you had absolutely nothing? Economically, no money in the pockets. Physically, no strength in your body. Emotionally, heart sapped. Spiritually, the very soul of your life has gone out. What impact did that reality have on you carrying your own cross, living your own life, heeding your call?
The 11th icon. Jesus is nailed to the cross. Soldiers brought Jesus to Golgotha, Skull Hill, and they nailed him up at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Why do you think Jesus was executed like a criminal? How was the end of his life consistent with the way he carried his cross, lived his life, heeded his call? When Jesus said, "Take up your cross," what did he mean? Toward what end will your cross lead you?
They began to
Icon number 12. Jesus dies on the cross. The whole earth became dark, the darkness lasting 3 hours, a total blackout. Jesus calls loudly, "Father, into your hands I place my life." And then he breathed his last breath.
How do you think death is like giving yourselves over to the hands of God? How does Jesus' death make you think of the dark abyss of creation? Is your death your way of giving yourself over to the soup of nothingness, to the inky blackness, to the bottomless emptiness? That's where God's Spirit broods, we're told, over the dark abyss as at creation.
Icon number 13. Jesus is taken down from the cross. Those who knew Jesus well stood at a respectful distance and kept vigil. Joseph of Arimathea, taking Jesus down, wrapped him in a linen shroud.
Have you ever helped someone die? How does watching someone die impact your life, your call? How does the consciousness of death impact the way you carry your cross? Icon 14. They laid Jesus in a tomb, wrapped him in a linen shroud, and laid him in darkness, emptiness that was chiseled into a rock, a tomb of inky blackness, never yet used. This, a place of death. It was the day before Sabbath. The prophet Isaiah said, "A people walked in darkness have seen a great light." How do you think about the earth in relationship to your death? Does the fact that the earth receives your body at death impact the way you carry your cross, the way you live your life, the way you heed your call? What's the value of darkness in your life? As you carry your cross, do you hope for light? Do you trust as you walk in the darkness? Can you love your way into light?
after all that has gone before, the icon of resurrection. After the Sabbath, as the first light of the new week dawned, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to keep vigil at the tomb. Suddenly the earth reeled and rocked under their feet as God's angel came down from heaven, came right up to where they were standing. He rolled back the stone and then sat on it. Shafts of lightning blazed from him. His garments shivered snow white. The guards at the tomb were scared to death. They were so frightened they couldn't move. The angel spoke to the women. "There is nothing to fear here. I know you were looking for Jesus, the one they nailed to the cross. He is not here. He is raised. Come and look at the dark emptiness where he was placed. Look into the inky blackness out of which he emerged."
How does this story bring you to an awareness of life? In what ways do you expect God to be present in your death? In the icon Resurrection, the original dark empty is surrounded by light. How does this suggest a new creation for you as you carry your cross? Live your life. Heed your call. The light of planet Earth is surrounded by a vast darkness with spots of light called stars. How does this fact inform you and your faith as you carry your cross? Live your life. The faith we share is experienced as resurrection hope, even in the soup of darkness. Deep and abiding trust, even in the bottomless emptiness. Recreation of eternal love, even in the inky blackness. God's Spirit is creating still.